Well, hello everyone. TryHardCasual here with the second installment of my guides for the Trials of King Hercules. Now today we'll be tackling the
Erymanthian.
Boar. So to let everyone know right now, I will be making updates in the comments and in the description of this video if anything changes or if something's incorrect in the guide. But without any further delay, we shall begin.
Will you best my trials, or will they best you?
To begin, I'll talk about some generalities with hard mode. Now, the most obvious point to make is to have the gear for the character you're playing. I mean, this is hard mode now. It's a lot more punishing than normal, and the correct gear is, really necessary if you want to get to the end. So no crit items on mages, cause that shit don't work. Other than that, a basic team comp of a tank, healer, ADC, that's usually the recommended setup, and it's the most balanced. I put together a little chart here of common choices for the adventure mode gods, but I will say that the specific team we used in this video was Nike, Hell, and Anher. Next up, we have the fight mechanics to talk about. So, when you enter the Boar's arena, you will notice that it's empty and there's 3 caves kind of spread out along the walls of the room. As you step in closer, the boar will jump out and begin attacking. Now the boss itself has a few moves you're going to have to watch out for. First off, he has an attack where he will swing his head and send you flying to his left. So from his perspective, you will fly left. This can be problematic if you're flung by a cave, but I'll get into that a little bit later. His next move is what appears to be a line attack that shoots up rocks from the ground underneath you. It deals mild damage and it can hit multiple people, so just spread out, it's not that hard to avoid. Finally, around 25,000 health, the boss will begin to charge. So he usually centers himself in the arena, he chooses a target at random, and then proceeds to charge their ass. So it's important to dodge this attack because it does a hefty amount of damage, and it can kill you even when you think you have a decent amount of health left. So that covers the boss's mechanics, but there's still some things to look out for during the fight. Now I mentioned the 3 caves earlier and how they might be problematic if you get flung by them. To elaborate a bit, if you step anywhere near one of these caves, some text will flash on your screen saying, "A boar cave has been stirred." A few little boars will run out and attack whoever is close to them. And if this happens too frequently, then it's really easy to become overrun by these little bitty boars. One final mechanic to mention is that every so often, a boar nest will spawn in the arena. This doesn't happen forever, and I believe it's triggered by the boss's health at certain percentages, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Anyway, the nest itself doesn't have a ton of health, but it will periodically spawn little boars, so it's important to destroy the nest as soon as possible. Now that we have the mechanics out of the way, I will go into detail on how our specific team comp dealt with everything that was happening. As Nike, it was my duty to take the brunt of the boss's attacks. Positioning is really key in this fight, so you're not overrun by the little boars. To prevent myself from being flung into the caves, I positioned myself right here, so when I was hit by that ability, I would just fly into the wall and not the cave. So really, that's the majority of what you're going to be doing as Nike. Make sure the boss isn't flinging you into the caves, and use your ult if your health gets low. As Anher, your goal is to do as much damage to the boss as possible. I mean, you should really center yourself in the arena so you don't get hit by all these AoE attacks that the boar throws out. Aside from that, it's also your job to seek out the boar nests that spawn and kill them. This is usually done in a few seconds. Anher can melt them pretty quickly with the right gear. A quick little side note, using Anher's pillar too close to the boss will cause it to be destroyed. So if you still want to benefit from the extra damage, make sure you don't spawn it too close to the boss. As Hell, your job is to keep everyone topped off on health while still damaging the boss. If you see that Anher is taking too long destroying the nest, or maybe he's getting overrun by the little boars, then you can help him out a bit, throw out an AoE attack or two. The most pro Hells will actually be able to help out the tanks a lot here. If you time it correctly, you'll be able to CC immune the tank right before the boss uses his head swing that usually makes you go flying into a cave. This can be accomplished by using Hell's 2 ability while she's in her light stance. And that does it. So hopefully with all this newfound knowledge, you'll be able to beat the boss no problem on hard mode. It's kind of funny because in my last guide, I had some people tell me things like, "Oh, you need a guide for this? I just face roll, it's so easy." To that I say, great man, it's good for you. I'm not making these guides for you. These guides are for people who want to learn the fights, or maybe they're having some trouble, because everyone's toxic, just like you. So who are you to say that it's easy? Everyone has a different skill level, and you shouldn't be so judgmental. You should be helping people out. We're all playing the same game, so I don't understand why everyone has to be a troll. I don't know, I'm done ranting, I'm not going to go into that anymore. Anyway, I hope I was able to help some people out. Just remember your positioning and your role in the fight, and the kill will come easy after that. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you next time.